Well, good morning and welcome back to Grandma's Corner, where you have been inundated with videos, but loving every minute of it because I'm enjoying making them for you and the world. And I want to just say thank you for subscribing. So today I woke up and it was pretty darn chilly in my house. Would you qualify 58 degrees as cold? And I live in California. What? Anyway, when it's cold like that and I don't want to turn the heat on, I think to myself, well, what can I bake? And so I went in my freezer and discovered I only have 2 pieces of biscotti left. So guess what we're making today, folks? We are making biscotti, and it is going to be cranberry and pistachio nut biscotti. This is a recipe that I have pretty much perfected, and my parents, especially my dad, love this recipe so much, and I make it often, but I don't do it on a hot day because who wants to heat up the house to 75 degrees? Alrighty, I'm going to put the recipe down in my comments, but I am going to tell you what we're going to need. We are going to need flour, and we're going to need sugar, and you're going to need oil of some sort, and baking powder, and almond extract in addition to vanilla extract. You also are going to need 3 eggs. Mine are farm fresh. They don't have to be, but that's what I like. And then, because this is going to be the pistachio nut and cranberry recipe, I already put my nuts and the cranberries in the bowl ready to go. So, I'm going to start mixing all these things together, and we're going to have an unbelievable batch of homemade biscotti. So, get ready. Alrighty, so I went ahead and I cracked the eggs and I put them in here and I gave them a good beating. And it's a good thing that I turned the camera off because I got eggshells in here and I'm picking them out and I'm having a heck of a time, and you don't want to be seeing all that nonsense. So anyways, now we've got the eggs all beat up, and I did add my almond extract already, and I added my vanilla. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add my 1/2 cup of oil, and I'm going to give that another beating as if it were a naughty child. No, not really, just bad eggs. And now I'm going to put in my 1 cup of sugar and give that a good swirl. And you can see it's starting to thicken up a little bit. Oh, love that vanilla smell. Get your smell-ometers on. Woo! Nice, nice, nice. All right, so I like to put in the liquid stuff together with the sugar, and I've got that all mixed up. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put in my flour, and it calls for 3 1/4 cups of flour. So I'm going to go ahead and put in 1, 2, as you can see I measure so carefully, 3, and then I'm going to give myself a little extra, but now I want to get my baking powder in there as well because I want to make sure that, whoopsie-daisy, where is my, hold on, sorry about that, my other measuring spoon apparently is dirty and the maid didn't show up to clean it. So I have to get my other one, plan B, because it does require 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Oh, operator error sometimes. Anyways, I'm going to mix that in there with my flour, and now I'm going to mix that all up. Notice I have not put the cranberries in yet, and I also have not put in the nuts. I want to make sure that this flour mix with the eggs and the sugar, oil, extracts, all of these things get mixed up really well. And then I will add those. Because you don't want white coated pistachio nuts. That wouldn't look very pretty, now would it? All right, now it's getting a little bit thicker. The thing about biscotti is that it's a kind of a 3-step process. First of all, you put all the ingredients together and you mix them up. Secondly, you get the dough into 2 parts and you spread it out into like 2 logs, and then you have to bake it. There you go. Putting those in there now. And then you take those out after a certain amount of time, and then you have to cut them, and then you have to reduce the heat, and then you got to bake them again. So it's not like you're going to get these done in 20 minutes, folks. Oh, that looks lovely. Okay, so there's your dough. This is actually going to make 2 pretty big logs that I'm going to put on a cookie sheet, and I'm going to line my cookie sheet with what? You know it, parchment paper, because I like to rock that way. I don't like cleaning and scrubbing these pans, so parchment paper has become my very best friend. So I'm going to get this going, and I'll show you what this looks like. Okay, so now I've shifted, and remember that little bit of extra that I had in here? I put the 3 cups in, and then there was a 1/4 cup more that you needed. I'm going to actually put that on this cutting board because I'm going to work this flour into this dough. It's pretty sticky right now. I don't like to have it too dry because I don't. Is that a good enough reason? But you don't want it to be too sticky either. So, all right, I'm going to stick that there, and I'm going to roll it in this flour that I have on here, and I may or may not absorb the extra 1/4 of a cup. I guess we're going to wait and see. It depends on how sticky it is. All right, going to gather all that up. And this is not like you're kneading bread. You don't need to sit there and put more muscle power into this. All you're going to do is you're going to shape this into a log. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this log in half because I'm going to put the 2 pieces on my cookie sheet that I already have lined with parchment paper. All right, so let's see if we can get this to work here. If you play with it too much, it is going to get sticky, so buyer beware. So what I try to do is I just try to shape it a little bit while it's on the board here without it getting too stuck to the board, as you can see. So I might need to put a little bit of flour here. Now flip this over, and then I'm going to do the rest of the shaping on the parchment paper, because you want to try to get this thing uniform. All right, that one's looking pretty good. Got a little bit stuck here. We'll just slap that on there. All right, let's see if we can get this thing up. Oh, we are just having some challenges today. All right, come on, you dough. That's the fun thing about dough, is that you can get it to do whatever you want it to do. You just push it together. Okay, let's see if we can get this up. Boy, oh boy, we are really having a struggle fest today. All right, so this is what happens sometimes when you have this problem. You just go, all right, you are not going to take over my life. And we just start all over again. Okay, let's see, with a little bit more flour. Now we can get it to cooperate. Okay, so I'm going to pull that up, and I'm going to put that on my cookie sheet. And then I'm going to give it some more shaping because it's got to be a lot longer and wider than that. So let's see if this other one is going to play a little bit nicer here. All right, let's get that flour out here. Scrape off that extra. Let's see if we can work this one a little bit. Oh, yeah. This one's cooperating a little bit more nicely. Got a little bit more flour involved. Okay, so now we can do the rest of the shaping on the cookie sheet. So this is a good start. I'm going to work it a little bit more before it goes flying, and I'll show you what it looks like before I put it in the oven. So this would be the time that you would turn your oven on, and you're going to turn it on to 375 degrees. And you're going to let it sit in there until the edges start to get brown. Sometimes it's 20 minutes, sometimes 25, but you got to kind of watch. Alrighty. Okay, so I'm back, and I just wiped down the cutting board because anytime I use eggs, I want to make sure that there's not going to be any residual left over. So I have another video that I made, and it's how to make a DIY all-purpose cleaner with essential oils. I mean, they're perfectly healthy, and they do take care of anything that might be hanging around in terms of a microorganism. They just sit on there for about 10 minutes or so, wipe it off, and then I know my board is clean, ready for the next project. So here you go. Here are now the biscotti rolls that I have shaped. I have these beautiful long rectangles, and they're about the same thickness because you want them to cook evenly. I would say it's about, I don't know, maybe 3/8 of an inch thick, and they are going to get a little bit bigger because I did put the baking powder in there. So I'm going to pop these in the oven, and remember 375, keep an eye on them. You're going to start to smell them, and you're just going to be so excited. So I'll catch you when they come on out. So while my biscotti's in the oven baking, this is what I get to do. I like to clean my kitchen up, get everything put away that I don't need anymore, organize, and so I have a nice clean space for the next step of our biscotti. So get cracking, get washing, and get your gloves on. Okay, so I just pulled these out of the oven, and as you can see, they are a nice golden brown. So before I forget, I'm going to turn down the oven to 250 degrees because we no longer need that high heat. When these go back into the oven again after I cut them, now they need to continue to dry, not to cook or bake at a high heat, but just to bake at a low heat to get all that moisture out, which makes the biscotti so dry and crumbly and good. All right, so I like to cut on an angle. So there's my first cut. And I will cut them now about, maybe about 3/4 of an inch, maybe an inch wide, depending on your preference. And you have to be a little bit careful because they're not thoroughly dry, so they will break pretty easily. That's why I'm using a pretty big knife like this. You don't want to saw, you just want to cut through nicely. Oh, I'm so glad I took the time to clean my kitchen. Wow. Now it's all sparkly and ready for another project. Okay, look at that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these pieces after I finish cutting the other one, and I'm going to put them back on my cookie sheet and back in the oven again. So hang in there with me. Okay, so I am transferring them, and if you notice, I'm transferring them one at a time because they are pretty delicate at this point. And you want to put them on a side, and you're going to put them back in the oven, which is now down to 250 degrees. And what I do is I just check on them after about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes or so, and I give it the test of touch. And if I can poke it and it's not feeling squishy and it's more dry, then I know it's time to flip them. So you do want to go ahead and keep an eye on that. Again, you've got it down to 250 degrees, so they're not going to be baking too hard. You just want to dry them out. So these are going in the oven. I'll give it a little finger test there and see if it's squishy or not. Then I'm going to flip them all over and I'm going to put them back in the oven again and then test the other side, and then they'll be ready to come out. So get excited. Okay, we're back, and look what came out of the oven. Isn't that spectacular? It really is very easy to make, and it only took a couple of hours, but hey, the end result is you get yourself some homemade biscotti. So I'm going to be packaging some of this up for a friend who's coming by, and he's going to be taking it up to Sacramento and telling everybody, hey, you better watch Grandma's Corner 2020 because she's got this great video on how to make biscotti. And I decided to give you the recipe. So here you go. You can freeze the video, and oh, what do you suppose Jagger's saying? He's saying, yeah, where are my tidbits? So thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make biscotti, and it really is quite easy. And of course, the end result is you get to have some yummy, yummy dessert to impress your friends and family. So thank you for subscribing. You have a great day, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Bye-bye.